I'd like to call to order the Committee of the Whole meeting for Tuesday, April 8th, held and transmitted electronically via council chambers located at 39 South Shore Road in Lake Cowichan. I'd like to acknowledge we're gathered here tonight on the unceded territories of the Subatsit First Nation. I'd like to thank them for allowing us to live, work and play on these lands. First up, is there any introduction of late items? Mayor McGonigal.
Just a letter from the Chamber of Commerce seeking permission for Lake Days Parade. It's CC'd to the town and to the RCMP for approval. Just put that forward if I could.
Okay, we'll add that as new business C. Any other late agenda items? Nothing with that. I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Councillor Sandu. Oh, sorry. You good? Seconded by Councillor Vermarka. All those in favour? That is passed.
Just acknowledge that our interim CAO, Mr. Brown, is joining us remotely. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
First up, we have public input. Nothing tonight. Only have to look in one direction. Minutes for information only from the Committee of the Whole meeting. Any discussion on that? We'll move on. Business arising, none. Delegates, none. Correspondence. Actually, should that letter be under correspondence? Under new business from the
I
chamber?
think we'll utilize it under new business as you suggested, sir.
Perfect. We are humming along here under reports. Director of Finance. That was quick, eh?
Yeah, that was very quick. So the statements of revenues and expenses attached are for council review. The 2024 numbers have not yet been finalized. Work on the audit is progressing right now. The 2025 budget numbers reflect the staff and council budget discussions to date. They include the property taxation revenue as at the proposed rate of 9.9%. That to cover the wage increases, the contract grant writer budget, and also the addition of one public works employee. When this comes back to council for first, second, and third reading at the regular council meeting, there'll be a couple of numbers that change, but they won't affect the budget. It's going to be an in and out. We just got the hospital requisition this morning, and there's a couple more to come. There was 2 grant night applications that were received and discussed at the March 28th budget meeting. And it was recommended that BC Conservation Foundation receive $1,000, Take a Hike Foundation $500. And also a motion is needed to approve the increase in the town bursaries from 1,000 to 2,000.
Okay, we'll tackle the required motion first. So would anyone like to move that we increase the town bursaries from 1,000 to 2,000? Is that what we're looking for? Yep. Councillor Austin, seconded by Mayor McGonigal. Any discussion on that? No, I'll call the question. Oh, sorry.
Just to be clear, it'd be 2 $1,000 bursaries that we're looking at for this year, not a $2,000 bursary.
Thank you for that. Any other discussion? I will call the question. All those in favour? That motion is passed. And then just to clarify, so 9.9% increase is the equivalent of $13 per $100,000 valuation of your house. Any other discussion on the financial report? Mayor McGonigal.
I think we need to move the 2 grants and aid, so I will move those 2 grants and aid in the amount of $1,000 to the BC Conservation Foundation and $500 to the Take a Hike Foundation.
Thank you for that. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Sandu. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favour? That motion is passed. Any further discussion on the finance? We've obviously gone through this with a fine-tooth comb in our last meeting. Seeing none, I'll move on. We have the Lake Cowichan Building Inspection Report for information. We have the Lake Cowichan Fire Department Incident Report for March 2025. I'm looking for someone to motion $7,868.23 to be paid for the fire department there. Motion by Councillor Austin, second by Councillor Sandu. Any discussion? Call the question. All those in favour? That motion is passed. Next up, we go back to the Director of Finance.
Thank you. So we'll start with the general fund. The first page there shows the 5-year plan that'll come forward in a bylaw at the next regular meeting. I'm not going to spend too much time on it unless anybody has questions. Okay, so we can move on to the statement of expenditure for the general fund. It shows the budget increases and decreases. And the amounts, I tried to highlight them in gray. Those are the budget increases. We've got some increases in the office expenses. And the grant and aid shows the $1,000 increase in the bursary. If you flip the page, there was another person added, so there's been some wage added into the shop and yard, into boulevards, storm drains, catch basins, and into the garbage collection. Under planning and zoning, we've added the 26,000. There was already a $10,000 increase from before for the grant writer position. And there was no changes to the capital budget other than decreases. So I don't know if anybody wants to go over the numbers in any more detail. Let me know.
I think we can go through this in a more detail at the next budget meeting. If there's any, we can digest this for a little while and see what we bring forward as questions or concerns, perhaps.
Okay, on that subject, are we looking for any actions at the moment? Nothing?
No. So I can move on then to the water and sewer fund. You can see the 5-year plan for the sewer fund. That is where the expenses are anticipated over the next 4 or 5 years. You can see in 2028, we might even look at borrowing $7 million. This is all hypothetical, of course, depending on how things plan out. And it also shows that the parcel tax in 2029 will increase from $325 to $425, and that is to pay off the debt of $7 million that's projected showing on here. Obviously, this will change as we have more and better information in future years, but that is how it's shown now. Any questions on that?
I was just, took a quick look and I went from 325 to 425 over those few years. Would it, maybe the table would look during discussions about raising it in increments of $25 per year? So we'd still get to the 425, but it's not such a drastic shock to homeowners.
That's a great idea.
Councillor Austin.
The cenotaph repairs, what was that?
Some of the mortar in between all the stones at the cenotaph, it's crumbling.
Oh,
So I've got a couple of quotes to repair that.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, so we can move on to the water fund. I show the 2025 and then all the way to 2029, nothing really drastic in there. What the unknown is once that First Nations water reservoir is built, what the costs, operation and maintenance costs will be. That's sort of an unknown and an estimate in 2026, but we'll see how that pans out when we get there. There was no changes to the water and sewer fund budgets, the pages attached. If there's any questions, though, I'd be happy to take those.
Just a comment, if I may, and in the financial 5-year plan, the only one that will be etched in stone will be the 2025 budget when we finalize it. Anything off forward in the next 4 years are merely projections, as Councillor Bomaka has suggested, can be reinstituted into different increments should we choose that in the future. So just considering that these are projections, except for the 2025 budget once we finalize it, and hopefully move on from there. Thank you.
Everyone happy to move on? Next up, we have Parks, Recreation and Culture, Public Access and Viewing Area for Pine and Prospect. Mr. Sandy, would you like to?
Yeah, so I've had a couple of discussions with Bob Crandall regarding that site. We were supposed to meet there this afternoon, but unfortunately he had to cancel due to the heavy rain. Neither one of us wanted to get wet. Anyways, we're meeting Thursday or Friday to look at it again. So we can determine what we can do there. We'll probably end up cutting a small swath through the prickle bushes so we can actually get through the site and look at it. We can't even get down there to look at it right now, so. So after I've met with Bob, then we'll determine what they will allow us to do.
Everyone happy with that? Yep. We'll stick with you, mate. Progress on sanitary sewer upgrades.
Sanitary sewer upgrades, we've completed the desludging program. We're just putting all our aerators and everything back into place. The engineers are continuous working on the design. I sent you guys a little brief on that today. And yeah, we're just waiting for our environmental impact study. It's probably gonna take 8 months to get that complete. Normally, like I reported before, it's a 2 to 3 year thing, but the ministry wants it on a speedy time, so they're pushing us to get it done. So, and then after we get that, the engineers can complete the design, because there may be some things that are in that study that are required to add or subtract.
That was you.
I was just gonna ask, has the sludge in that, has it been removed off-site now?
No, we have no place to take it. We've got it in these big synthetic bags. It's pumped into there and stored till such time first of all, we got to let it dry out, and then if we can find a home for it.
Just a local resident had reached out to me regarding the big bin, or not bins, but
Bags.
bags. And so they were asking whether or not, are they environmentally safe? Any chance of leakage? Moving them, having them that high stacked up was a concern for them at the time. This is going back 2 weeks.
No, we had to build a cell, almost like a sewer lagoon cell for it. We built the cell, it's all, and it's got 2 liners in it, and then the bags are in it. It's,
Okay, we'll stick with you again. We've got parking study, implementation, schedule, and funding requirements.
parking study, we've broke it down to 3 or 4 pages, and we're forwarding that to Watts, the consultants that came up with it. And so they're hoping to present it to mayor and council by the end of this month. Funding, I think we have the funding in place for it.
Mayor McGonigal?
So once it comes forward with the suggestions from the consultant, we can work collaboratively with our management team to see what could be implemented within the current budget and what could possibly happen within those suggestions moving forward. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
And you anticipate that for April's council?
We're
meeting?
hoping by the end of April that it gets presented to mayor and council, yeah.
Well, if need be, we can certainly do a special meeting to accommodate that. I think it's imperative that we have them in place prior to the busy season and not implement it on July 15th, for instance, when people are already here. So hopefully we can have it implemented prior to the busy season.
Moving on, we'll stick with you again, mate. Parking lot design and plans at 49 South Shore Road.
I've got all the design, the landscape design and the design from Herald Engineering now. We will be just waiting for some weather improvement, but within the next couple of weeks, we'll start excavation of the site. And I've got paving scheduled towards the end of May.
Would it be possible to forward those designs to council just so we have a look at it?
After the meeting, you guys can have a look. I have it right here.
Perfect. Perhaps a digital copy as well, just for our records, if you don't mind.
I will. Yep,
When you can accommodate that, I'd appreciate that.
no
Thank you.
problem.
Moving on, new business strategic plan update to include community-based health clinic. Implement, is that you, Mayor McGonigal?
Certainly is. I've been working with our interim CAO, Mr. Brown, working with the parliamentary secretary for rural health, and also Carla Bortoletto, who is with Island Health, on some letters to go forward with requests for a community-based health clinic within the West Cowichan area. So I think it's appropriate that we place this in the strategic plan as an ongoing item with no end date, and just allowing that to reside within our strategic plans. So whether we are here at the next council, that it can be implemented in the next strategic plan if that council so decides. I think in the condition we're in for our health needs within the West community, we all know that we've been underrepresented for a number of years. And it's time that we lobby senior levels of government who are responsible for health to accommodate the needs of the West Cowichan area. With a large service area that's remote, some places over an hour away from a district hospital, I think it's imperative that we have some episodic care needs within the community. So that letter will be sent from our office. We are just tweaking some of the language within there with help from Ms. Bortoletto and our CAO. Once that's finalized, I will send it off to yourselves just for perusal. And then we will send it off to the Minister of Health, Minister Osborne, and we will CC MLA Toporowski, who is the Parliamentary Secretary on Rural Health. So I think it's important that it resides within the strategic plan, and if we can update that, that would certainly help our cause.
Will you be working with the CVRD, like the Area I and Area F directors, as a joint with the town of Lake Cowichan on this?
We'll certainly broach that question. We have reached out to the local Subasset First Nation on a collaborative approach moving forward for not only the community of Lake Cowichan's health needs, but also those within the nation. And we certainly understand that as a service hub and an edge community, we provide services to the outlying CVRD region electoral areas. So perfect way to have a collaborative approach with them as well. Thank you for that.
Are you looking for action on this tonight?
Not at the moment. I think once the letter is finalized, I will send it for your perusal, and then it will go off. If need be, we could look at an upcoming meeting with some ministry staff or the minister herself, whether that's prior to UBCM or at UBCM. This would be ammunition for the discussion moving forward if we choose that route.
Thank you for that. Next up under new business, we've got public meeting, which is May 5th. Topics to be brought forward. Who would like to speak on this? Or should I call for topics? Councillor Austin?
Keep forgetting. Excuse me. I invited the Fire Smart group, Elijah, to come to that, and just because it's pre-summer and they had some information on how to handle the summer and the heat and all that type of thing as well, along with your sunscreen that you're doing.
Would council find it fitting if we brought up the Airbnb issue again at that meeting? I did forward my thoughts on how we should structure that, so maybe we could share that in an agenda. And will the APC be talking about that before that meeting again, or is that on the radar? I know that we did instruct staff to look at it too. Mr. Brown, I don't know if you've looked into Airbnbs and whether we could give any information at that stage.
Yes, I could, I'll give you a brief update. We've been working with Bridget, our planner, regarding this, and I know she's been in consultation with the APC. And we're looking at perhaps some recommendations for bylaw amendments. And I'm sure in the coming weeks, we'll have a report we can bring forward to council.
Okay, we couldn't quite hear, but I think that it said the recommendations were coming forward from the APC, and we may have something in place in the next couple of weeks.
That's correct. In consultation with Bridget, our planner, we've been working with the APC, yes.
Okay, so we might not have all the questions, but it'll be good to have that discussion at that meeting.
I think it'll tweak some interest within the community on us moving forward. As you know, we've passed the deadline for opting in for this year. But if we do the background work on business licenses and bylaws, as has been suggested, that could be in place for March 31, 2026, if we do opt in for that time. I know the APC did send a recommendation for us to opt in, but I thought it appropriate that we do all the background work prior and have those bylaws and business licenses, if that's the way we choose to go, in place prior to opting in. It's more difficult to opt out than it is to opt in. So when everything is in place, I think that's the time that we choose whether or not we wish to opt into the Airbnb short-term rental. We're currently residing within the legislation of the whole province as a residential entity within short-term rentals, but this is the other aspect of standalone Airbnbs. And I like some of the thoughts that you had put forward, Councillor Frisbee, but whether or not that can be accommodated within the bylaw is for our senior staff to investigate and find out the legality of that. We certainly don't want to be in litigation having implemented the bylaw and finding out that it isn't appropriate. So, but I think an initial discussion, there will be people within the crowd at the public meeting that may have or have had short-term rentals and would like to know what's the plans of the town are moving forward.
Okay, so subjects for the public meeting will be Fire Smart, which is always good. Airbnb, is there any other recommendations? Oh, sunscreen. Yep.
We give the public a possible update on what's happening with the sewer treatment plant. Just an information.
At the meeting, she's saying at the public meeting. Is there some information? Maybe you could come up with a,
Yeah, we can.
A
come up
handout?
with some, yeah, there's
Yeah.
not a lot. It's just in design stage, but we can give them something, yeah.
okay. We could accommodate that too. That'd be great. Any other points? Yep. Councillor Market.
What about our plans for the new garbage cans?
We have ordered some, 2 different types. So we didn't want to order all of them. We ordered 2 of each, just so we can get them here and see what they're like, because there isn't anything around. So I wanted to make sure we're happy with what the product we're getting. They're very expensive, so I didn't want to get a whole bunch here and we don't like them.
So perhaps if I may, Mr. Chair, if they're here May 5th, we can bring those up just for presentation.
They're either 6 to 8 or 8 to 10 weeks away to get them. We
So ma-
ordered them.
That's close.
We ordered them late last week.
They're here May 5th. Bring them up.
We'll have pictures.
I could check with the Cowichan Watershed Board to see if we could get a presentation, just an update on the weir. So,
That'll be good.
So we'll add that as well, an update on the Weir project.
Okay, seeing no other recommendations, we'll move on to new business C, which was the correspondence we got from the Chamber of Commerce, who were looking to get approval on their 3 parades, which is the Family Heritage Days logging truck parade, which I'm looking for. It is May 17th. The Lake Days Parade, which is June 14th, and then the Christmas Parade, which is November 30th. Is this something that we can approve, or how does that work? Wouldn't that go through staff first?
I believe a resolution from council directing staff to work with the Chamber of Commerce to accommodate these requests could be appropriate, and I'll make that motion.
Okay, so the motion is for staff to work with the Chamber of Commerce on these parades. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Sandhu, any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favour? That motion is passed. Comment.
I received an email from Catherine regarding insurance for Lake Days, and they're now requesting to go from $2 million liability to $5 million liability. So I know last year, the Lake Day Society went through our CAO, Joe Fernandez, and we paid it, but we went through the town's insurance process, which saved almost $1,000 by doing it that way. So I will be bringing that forward.
And if I may, I just, with your indulgence, just announce that last Thursday, myself and a number of councillors attended the Cowichan, pardon me, Friday. It's all a blur. Every day is Friday. We attended the BC Forest Discovery Center as the board and directors of the Cowichan Lake Community Forest Cooperative in Cowichan for a significant financial contribution to the Hospital Auxiliary Association of Cowichan Valley, where a $200,000 gift was given to the organization, which was matched by the BC Jim Pattison Society for a contribution of $400,000. And then Cowichan, who is the business partner of the Pachidot First Nation and the Forest Co-op, made a donation of $50,000. So in total that day, with the match donation, it was $500,000 that was donated to purchase equipment that will not be provided by the Ministry of Health for the new hospital. So it was a great opportunity to give back on the license that was afforded to us in 2018 by the previous government on an incentive-based license between the two communities, Diddy Dot and Lake Cowichan communities. So along with that, there are some grants that will be discussed tomorrow for community groups that have put forward applications. Those will be vetted by the grants committee and then brought forward to the board for consideration and approval. And I'm just noting that over $1 million has been contributed by the Cowichan Lake Community Forest Co-op throughout the communities in the years of its existence. And this was the largest single financial contribution in the history of the Forest Co-op. Thank you for your indulgence.
Thank you. Don't see any notices of motion, sorry? No? Just before I move on to question period, anything from you, Mr. Brown? We've covered everything.
I I did have my hand up on a couple of the items, but I guess it's hard to
Oh,
see.
sorry,
from
man.
here.
It's
That's
not-
okay.
that's
Just
green.
it's going back on a couple of items and just to add what Mr. Sandu said about the parking study and the parking lot design. So the parking study, as we talked about at the budget meeting, some of that will be depending on finances, and some of the implementation will be dependent on the availability of equipment, depending on what option the council chooses. So just to remind you that it's not just a financial or staff resources, it's also a third party supplying equipment that may or may not allow implementation for some of the measures in 2025. And then secondly, on the parking lot design, I'd like to commend the
Sorry,
staff.
we'll just stop you on the first one.
Yeah, sure.
Can anyone hear him? I can barely hear him. Something to do with the parking study, we know that.
If I could maybe speak a bit louder, is that
It's
help?
slightly better, yep.
Yeah, okay, so I was just saying that the parking study, depending on the recommendations, the implementation may be delayed depending on the availability of third-party equipment, depending on the options that council chooses.
Thank you for that.
Okay, we got that, yep.
And then secondly, on the parking lot design, I'd like to, commend staff. They've taken the original design and Jazz has walked the site, worked with our staff to determine what's the most cost-efficient way to solve the drainage issues, have the parking lot paved, as well as use plantings that are more conducive to not only the climate, but the wildlife in the area. So the planting has been revised to reflect that, so it's easier to maintain and keep the plants, in the landscape design that's designed for basically the Lake Cowichan, made in Lake Cowichan solution.
Awesome. Did you save us some money, Mr. Sandu? That's good. Okay, thanks for that. Sorry, I didn't see you while we were talking about those. I've got to remember to look at the screen.
No worries. Thank you.
We'll go to question period. Any questions tonight? There's no phone calls. I don't have to give out the number. 250-749-3239. I don't think so. There is no in-camera tonight. So we're looking for a motion to adjourn this meeting. Councillor Austin, seconded by... No, we're staying here. We're staying. Councillor Vormaka, all those in favour? And meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Mark.